Friends, in this video, we are detailedly study about the traction drives. So let's begin. So friends, as we know that the fundamental definition of a drive is called it as the system employed for the motion control. If we are using the motors for the traction purpose, then such type of the drives are called it as a traction drives. So first of all, we can understand what are the different concept in concern with the traction motors. So friends, as we know that the traction motors refers to an electric motor providing the primary rotational torque of a machine, usually for a conversion into a linear motion. So this is called it as traction motor. So friends, as we seen that this is one of the image of the traction motor by which we'll be applying for the traction purpose. So friends, as we seen that this is a traction motor. So there are the different types of the traction motors according to our requirement that we are using. So in previously days we are preferring the traction motor as an DC series motor. So what is the role of that particular traction motor? So friends, as we know that the motor will be rotated in the rotation, or as we call it as a circular motion. Okay, that will be treated as an sometime rotational motion. So as we know that these motors will be provide you a rotational motion conversion into a translational motion, or we call it as a linear motion. So friends, as we seen that this is one of the type of traction motor which will be coupled to that the type of your system. So these systems are basically composed with various types of devices. So such devices, this will be a gear wheel, this is a gear case. Okay, so this is the suspension tube, this is the axle, this is the wheel, this is the bearings that we are connecting, this is the motor support brackets. Why we are using these motor support brackets? Because we have to support, or we have to basically connect that particular motor to that particular wheel. So we have to use the motor support brackets. This is the bogie transom, this is the motor nose, this is the armature drive shaft, because as we know that this motor will be connected to the load. So this is the motor, this is the load as an whole part of the wheel of your traction drive, and this is the pinion. So as we know that the pinion is very important as concerned with the gear mechanism. So friends, what is the operation? The direction of this particular motor will be clockwise or anti-clockwise. So that is depending upon the fundamental characteristics of the supply. And this is the load. What do you mean by load? This is the load by which we have to drive that the particular wheels of your traction drive. So friends, the motion of that particular traction motor will be a circular motion. So this traction motor is directly coupled to your gear wheel mechanism. So friends, as we seen in that the dynamics of the electrical drive, if you want to convert that the rotational motion of your drive into a linear motion, we want to connect one of the transmission mechanism. So this part of the gearbox and pinion mechanism will be called it as a transmission mechanism. So why we are connecting this gear wheel and the pinion in that particular image? So the rotational motion is converted into a linear motion, because we have to understand while we are driving a load of your train, so we have to go into the linear motion direction. So this the traction motor will be rotating in rotational motion, and now we want to do the translational motion, or we call it as a linear motion of your output, that we call it as a train. So for the sake of that, we are using this gear wheel and pinion mechanism which will convert that the rotational motion into a translational motion, and by which these two wheels are rotating. Okay, so this is the mechanism by which we can get the linear motion system. So friends, this is the actual concept of the traction drive that we are preferred in the different types of the tractive effort. So this is actual very important concept. I think everyone has got the clear idea why we are using the traction motors, and what is the role of the traction motor, and how this tractional motor, because as we know that this is the motor torque of your traction motor, and this is the load torque, this is the load torque of your wheels. So as we know that while we are connecting this gear wheel and the pinion mechanism to the traction motor, so it will be having its a transmission efficiency, as we called it as a transmission tooth, that will be basically related to the gear tooth ratio, as we have seen in the dynamics of electrical drive. What is proportional of this particular gear tooth ratio. So that will be the very, very important concept. So friends, let's we can understand there are the various system of the electric traction existing, such as electric train and trolley buses, because in a foreign country we are preferring most of the trolley buses for the purpose of the transmission. So that's why we are using such type of traction motor in that particular system. So friends, now we can understand what is the role of that particular traction motor as a drive, how we can control this traction motor by means of the different power modulator device. Let's we can understand. Friends, now we can start the speed time curve of a traction drive. So what do you mean by the traction drive? If we are using the different types of the motors for the propelling of the train or the traction, that will be treated as an traction drive. So for the sake of the traction drive, we want to draw one curve. That curve will be called it as a speed time curve. So this speed time curve will be classified into different parts. So the first part will be called it as the constant acceleration. So the period of the time which will be from t0 to t1, that will be called it as a period of the constant acceleration. Then the second period will be called it as a acceleration on a speed curve. So for the sake of that, we are considering this time duration which will be t1 to t2. Then after that, the third period was there which will be called it as a free running period, which will be basically given by the time duration of t2 to t3. Then after that we are getting the fourth curve which would be called it as a coasting. So sometime we call it as a retardation, and that the curve which will be given for the timing of the t3 to t4. And after that we are getting the last curve that will be treated as the curve number 5 for a speed time curve, that is the period which will be called it as braking. So for the time duration for this braking period from t4 to t5. So friends, let's we can understand what exactly means of speed time curve of a traction drive. So friends, from that particular curve we are getting the different periods. So these periods will be drawn on the basis of its time and speed. So that's why such type of curve will be called it as speed time curve. So the value of the speed basically in terms of kilometer per hour, and the time which will be considered in case of the seconds. So let's we can understand the first period. So what do you mean by the first period? So this is the first period which will be called it as a constant acceleration. So what do you mean by the constant acceleration? So this curve OA represent a constant acceleration. So I can write, so OA will be represent the first curve, that is a constant acceleration. So basically what will happen in concern with that the particular period? So at this period the motor will just starting the accelerating for driving a particular load. So in this the particular system, the voltage of your motor will be gradually increase. So that's the time period which will be basically from t0 to t1, which will be called it as a constant acceleration period. So friends, after that there should be a period which will be called it as acceleration on speed curve. So basically in case with the period that we call it as AB, which will be represented by the acceleration for the time duration of t1 to t2. So what will happen in that the duration curve? So in that the particular duration of curve, the motor will accelerates and will get a speed, or this motor will attains a constant speed. So basically in concern with the main line services or suburban line services, the this period of the acceleration should be very small. But while attaining the acceleration period of your traction drive, now the third period will be coming to picture, that the period will be called it as BC. So this BC will be represented as a third curve which will be called it as free running period. So what will happen in that the free running period? So the motor has already attained, that is basically the acceleration. So this period the motor will draws a constant power. So the time duration for this free running period, that will be from t2 to t3, on which the motor will basically running at a normal speed. So that's why this the speed will be called it as the free running speed or the constant speed. So basically while we are considering the main line service, the free running period will be very large. So this is the period which will be called it as the BC, and the time duration for this the period which will be called it as BC, that is free running period, that is from T2 to T3. Okay, and that the duration will be called it as a time duration in terms of the second. So after that, friends, there should be another curve that will be called it as CD. So this CD curve represent the coasting period. So what do you mean by the coasting? Suppose if the motor will be attains its a constant speed. So after some time, due to the retardation process of your motor, this period will be happen. So in that the particular period between T3 to T4, what will happen, the voltage of your motor will be basically gradually decrease. So according to that, the motor will changing its speed. So basically what will be the speed? So at the time period of T3 to T4, we can see that the value of your speed is drops, so that this period will be called it as costing. Sometime we will call it as the retardation period. Okay, so this is the fourth instant, that will be CD. Then after that, on the speed time curve, there should be another region which will be called it as DE. So DE is the fifth region which will be responsible for the braking of your traction drive. So what will basically happen, what should be the time duration? So that is the time duration for T4 to T5. So in that the particular period, the motor will be getting retarded gradually. So that this particular instant when the driver will applying the braking, so that the due to the braking system, the speed of your traction drive is suddenly increase, or we call it as a suddenly decrease, and it will be going to the rest period. So this the period will be called it as the braking. So friends, this is the actual understanding of the speed time curve of a traction drive. So the detailed explanation regarding the speed time curve is very important while we are selecting a particular motor for a traction drive. So we have to take this point into the consideration, what should be its starting period, what should be its free running period, and what should be its braking period. So that the periods are again sub-classified by the constant acceleration, acceleration on speed curves, free running period, coasting period, and braking period. So this is the concept. Okay, so first of all, we can understand what are the requirement of the ideal traction drive. Okay, so what are the different requirements? So the first requirement that we can understand, so the first requirement will be that, so the traction drive should be basically having, that is the high starting tractive effort in order to have fast acceleration. So this will be the very important and main property while we are selecting motor as a traction drive. So it should have high starting tractive effort. So what do you mean by the tractive effort? That effort will be required to pull up or to start that particular train or that the particular vehicle for in order to get a fast acceleration, because we want to run that particular object into a different or requirement according to the fast acceleration speed. So this is the first requirement. Then the second requirement will be that the wear on the track should be minimum. So as we've seen that while we're selecting a traction drive, so obviously this traction drive will provide you the wear on the track should be very minimum. That will be very important requirement in concern with the traction drive. Then the third requirement will be called it as the equipment capable of withstanding large temporary overloads for a short period. Because as we know that while we are considering the traction drive, we are connecting for the train purpose, sometime huge crowd will be there. So for the sake of that, while we are selecting a traction drive, so the equipment capable of withstanding large temporary overloads for a very short period. So that will be another requirement. Then the speed control should be easy. This is very important because we have to increase and decrease in the speed value of your motor, because according to our requirement we have to just accelerate a train or just retard a train. So for the sake of that, we will require a various speed control strategies. So the speed control should be very easy while we are selecting a traction drive. Then next very important requirement, so it will be a pollution free. So obviously we are preferring the electric drive, so that should be a pollution free, because in previous day obviously we are using the different types of drive mechanisms. Such drive mechanism will be diesel locomotive, but nowadays the whole electric traction, near about the 80 to 90% electric trains are used in the day-to-day life. So while we are selecting a drive, such drive should be a pollution free. Then next requirement, that is low initial and maintenance cost. So obviously, as we know that while we are comparing the electric drive with the mechanical drive system, in concern with the engines, diesel engines, okay, so the cost of our electrical drive should be very initial, and maintenance cost again very less. So due to that, the life of our electric drive should be greater with the larger efficiency. So these are the some of the requirements while we are considering the ideal traction drive. Now friends, we have to understand what are the different systems that we are using in the India, because friends, while we are understanding the concept of the traction drive, we have to take very important application of the traction drive in the Indian Railway. So in India, the electrification in tractions are conducted with three types of the locomotives, because as we seen that this is one of the image of the locomotive by which we have using the different types of motors that will be connected here for the driving of that particular load. So there are the three basic system that we are using. So the first system that we are using in the India, so using a single phase AC series commutator motor. So friends, as we know that the first system that we call it as, we are employing the single phase AC series motor. Second, that is using DC motor with tapped transformer and rectifier. So this was one of the method that we are employing nowadays. So this is using DC motor with a tapped transformer and rectifier. And the third system that would be called it as using phase converter and induction motor. So friends, as we seen that in that particular images, as we have seen, this is the control strategy of the different types of the Indian Railway that we are preferring. So in the some of the images we are using the phase converter, some of the we are using the different types of the power converter circuit, and some of the using this is the tapped transformer circuit, so by which we have to connect the different types of drives for your Indian Railway. So this is the actual system by which we have to use. First, that is AC series motor, second that is DC motor, and the third that we are using the induction motor for the Indian electrification. Okay, so I think everyone has got the clear idea for the sake of your understanding. Okay, now we can understand existing traction system using DC motor, because nowadays friends, we are using the DC series motor for your long train, but while we are designing the different system in the, that is train system, that we call it as the local, okay, or the bullet train, we are preferring the different types of the AC motor, but existing traction system using DC motors. So as we seen that this is a transmission line, and this is a collector, or we call it as the pantograph collector. So this is overhead line which will be carrying the power. So this pantograph collector will collect the power, and this power will be supplied to your motor control. So this is the motor control circuitry. So this motor control circuitry that will be connected to the motor. So as we seen that this is the motor, this is the motor, this is the actual wheel, and this is connection of your motor that we had already discussed earlier, how this motor will drive that particular wheel. So this motor control strategy which will be giving the control to your motor, and this control will be control speed or the direction of this particular vehicle. Okay, so this is the actual control strategy that we are preferring in the electric type of traction. So we are using the DC motor. So obviously, what are the electric existing traction system that we want to understand? So first of all, the rating, that is a 25 kilovolt overhead voltage is stepped down to a 2000 volt with the help of step down transformer. So friends, this all strategy will be available in that particular motor control strategy. So this will be the first part. The second, the rectifier rectifies this the AC voltage into a DC voltage, because friends, as we know that if we are using the DC series motor here, so the supply will be AC. So this supply will be obviously AC. Okay, so this motor is DC. So obviously, if you want to control, if you want to change that the alternating current voltage into a direct current voltage, so we have using the rectifier into that particular motor control unit. So this will be the second task. And the second thing, this rectified DC output is used to operate this DC motor in a existing system engine. So this is basically in concern with the, as we seen that This is called it as the proper working of your electric traction system. So now we have to understand in detail how we can control this motor strategy. Okay, so this is a very important concept. So now we can move towards what are the different types of motor that we are preferring according to our requirement. So the motors preferred in the traction system, or we call it as the motors which will be used as a traction drive in the different types of the purposes. So these traction motors will be first, this is the motor which will be called it as DC series motor. This will be very popular motor because of its different characteristics that we are discussing later on. This is the first motor that we are using as a traction drive. The second motor which will be called it as AC series motor. So as we know that it is a AC commutator motor, as we call it as a universal motor. So this motor will be again preferred for the different types of the locals. This is as trains, different types of the local trains. This is general trains, and we have to control the pulse width modulation technique, that is voltage source inverter fed squirrel cage induction motor. Because nowadays, due to the different properties of the squirrel cage induction motor, the squirrel cage induction motor are again preferred as a traction drive. So pulse width modulation, voltage source inverter fed squirrel cage induction motor, this is one of the type of the motor that will be preferred in the industry. Then the next type of the motor that will be preferred as a traction drive, that will be called it as inverter fed asynchronous motor. So in a traction drive, we are sometime we are preferring the synchronous motor as a traction system. So these are the images by which we have to see. This is one type of the DC series motor, and this is second motor that we call it as the AC series motor that we are preferring for the different types of the traction drives. Now friends, we have to understand detailedly why we are selecting this DC series drive for a particular application of your traction as a drive. So let's we can understand the direct current motors with the series field windings are the oldest type of the traction motor, because this DC series motor will be very popular. So this is DC series motor. It is the oldest type of motor. So why we are selecting this DC series motor for your particular purpose? Because due to its inherent characteristics. What are the different characteristics of the DC series motor? So this DC series motor, obviously we can understand the concept. The DC series motor will provide you a speed torque characteristic useful for the propulsion, providing high torque at a lower speed for acceleration of the vehicle, and declining torque as speed increases. So that's why, due to its particular properties of the speed torque relationship, we are preferring the DC series motor as an traction drive. So in DC series motor, what will happen? So the connection of this DC series motor, as we seen that from the basic fundamental thing, the field winding is connected in series with the armature winding. So due to that, what will happen, by the arranging in the field winding with multiple taps, the speed characteristics can be varied, allowing relatively smooth operator control of the acceleration. Because while we are connecting the field winding in series, so in that particular field winding we have to connect some of the multiple taps, and due to that the speed control strategy means we have to just accelerate the drive very simple manner. So that's why in previous days we are preferring the DC series drive for your traction purposes. Again, very important concept. If you want to increase the speed of your drive, if you want to reduce the speed of your drive, then what will happen? So a further measure in concern with the DC series motor, so a further measure of the control is provided by using a pair of motors on a vehicle in series and parallel control. So what do you mean by series? What do you mean by the parallel? So friends, if you want to slow operation for a heavy load, that time we are preferring two motors are connected in series. This will be the very important concept. Means what friends, if you want to operation that is slow but the load is very high, so the load is very high, so such type of the mechanism which will be used for the transmission mechanism. So at that time we are connecting two motors that is connected in series. Okay, so this is one of the important concept. And if you want to get a higher speed, so friends, if you want to get the higher speed, then what we are doing, we are connecting two motors in a parallel. So making a higher voltage is available at each motor and so following a higher speed. So this will be the very important concept while we are designing such type of motor. Okay, so we have get the fundamental concept, that the fundamental concept which we call it as, while we are connecting a DC series motor, we are using the combination. So the combinations, if you want to get the slower operation at a heavy load, we are preferring series motor, that is two motors are connected in series. And if you want to get higher value of speed, then we are connecting the two DC series motor in parallel. So if we are connecting two DC series motor in the parallel, so the larger value of voltage is getting across that particular motor, and due to that the large speed will be achieved. So that will be the very important concept. Now friends, we can discuss about the torque speed characteristics of a DC series motor. So friends, as we know that in the traction drive, we are using this DC series motor very popular. So what do we mean by the DC series motor? So in concern with the DC series motor, as we have the fundamental concept. So this the fundamental concept is that in the DC series motor that we are having the construction. So this is the DC series motor construction which having the field winding which will be in series with the armature winding. So this is the armature of your DC series motor. So this is the DC supply. This is field winding, that is F1 and F2. This is the armature, that is A1 and A2. So the whole current which will be flowing from that is the field winding. So this is called it as the basically DC series motor. And for the sake of the understanding of the DC series motor, why we are this DC series motor will be preferred? Because of its inherent characteristics. So what does it mean? So this DC series motor will give you a high starting torque. So friends, if you want to understand how these torque speed characteristics will getting the starting torque will be very larger. So now we have to discuss about the different characteristics of the DC series motor. The first characteristics of the DC series motor, that will be basically called it as the torque and armature current characteristic. So friends, as we know that in concern with the DC series motor, so according to the working principle of the DC series motor, the production of back EMF will be very necessary. So the whole current will be flowing through that the field winding of your DC series motor. So friends, we are having the basic fundamental concept, that is flux is directly proportional to the armature current. So obviously depending upon that, we have the fundamental relationship, that is torque is directly proportional to Ia. So if you want to get the value in terms of the torque, so obviously torque is directly proportional to, that is phi A into Ia. So we have to substitute the value of the phi into that equation. So we are getting one equation, that is torque is directly proportional to the current square. So it means that the curve for the torque and armature current characteristics, that we are getting a simple understanding of the hyperbola. So depending upon that, if you want to draw the torque and armature current characteristics, we will get this concept. So after that, the concept we want to understand the second characteristics, that will be in concern with the DC series motor. So what is the second characteristic? So this the second characteristics is basically, as we call it as the speed and armature current characteristic. So for the sake of the speed and armature current characteristics, we have to understand the simple basic fundamental concept, that is speed is directly proportional to back EMF divided by phi. So this will be coming into the picture by the simple working principle. So now we want to substitute the value of the back EMF, that is V minus IRA, and that the in concern with the series motor, we have the armature current along with the series value of the resistance. So it is called it as RS, that is series divided by the current, that is because this phi is nothing but Ia. So this is current Ia. So friends, from that the particular equation, the value of the resistance that will be in concern with the series motor, that will be we can consider as a negligible. So this term of Ra and Rsec, now we want to just negligible, and we will get one of the very important expression as concerned with the speed and armature current. So that is the speed is basically directly proportional to, or we called it as a speed will be directly proportional to its voltage but inversely proportional to its current. So it is V by Ia. But as we know that the back EMF will be tends to the value of the V. So from that we can get one concept, that is speed is basically inversely proportional to the current. So we are getting the relationship of speed into armature characteristics of the DC series motor. So according to that expression, we are getting the expression or the characteristics of the basically speed and armature current characteristics. So it is basically a hyperbola. So it means that while we are increasing the value of the current, the time DC series motor speed will be reduced. This will be getting from this basic fundamental equation. So from these two characteristics, that is torque versus armature current and speed versus armature current, we will get the third type of characteristics, and that is the characteristics which will be called it as torque and speed characteristics of your DC series motor. So what does it mean? That the torque speed characteristics which we have drawn here, so that is the torque speed characteristics. I can show you. So this is the torque speed characteristics of your DC series motor. So for the understanding of the DC series motor torque speed characteristics, we have the some of the relationship. So what was that the particular relationship? That is a torque is basically directly proportional to Ia square. That is the first expression that we are getting from the torque and armature current characteristics, and we are getting the second expression, that speed is basically inversely proportional to the armature current. So that is the second. So from this particular two characteristics, now we can basically draw the speed torque characteristics of your DC series motor, or the torque speed characteristics of the DC series motor. So we can get the expression, that is Ia square is equal to 1 upon Ia, because we want to equate just this torque and speed, and we are getting one very very important concept. And what was that particular concept? So this speed, basically we are getting concept that the speed is basically inversely proportional to torque. This speed will be inversely proportional to torque, and by the means of this simple and fundamental equation, we will draw these characteristics. Means that while we are increasing the value of the torque, so this torque in terms of the Newton meter, and the speed basically in terms of the RPM. So while we are increasing the value of the torque, the speed of your DC series motor will be decreases. So this the torque of your DC series motor will give you the higher at the starting. So friends, from these torque speed characteristics, we can get the fundamental thing, that is motor can produce a high starting torque for a little amount of the current. Hence, it is suitable for the traction drive which demands a high starting torque. So that will be the basic torque speed characteristics of a DC motor while we are selecting a motor for a traction purpose. Now friends, we have to understand the second types of motor that we are preferring. Second type of motor, which would be called it as the AC drives. So what do you mean by the AC drive? So for the sake of the AC drive, we are using the universal motor. So what do you mean by the universal motor? So we have the basic fundamental concept of the universal motor is that, so the name itself, it is a universal because these motors will be operated in both AC as well as DC supply. So friends, let's we can understand the second type of drive, that will be called it as a AC drive. So what do you mean by the AC drive? So the AC drive will be preferred a universal motor. So why we call it as a universal motor? Because this universal motor will be operated in both AC and DC supply. So this motor will be called it as universal, which is essentially the same device but operates on a alternating current. So what is the difference in between, or why we are using instead of the DC series motor the AC series motor? Because the DC series and AC series motor remaining the same, but the supply available for the AC series motor is the AC. So that's why it is called it as a AC series drive. So what are the different properties of that particular AC drives? We can understand. So there are the different properties of the AC drive. Since both the armature and field current reverses at the same time, the behavior of the motor is similar to that when energized with a DC current. Means this universal motor will give you various two properties. So the first property is what? If you want to use the AC series motor as a DC series motor, then we have to just change the supply. Change the supply means what? If we are using the DC supply, then obviously this the AC series drive will be used as an DC series drive, and it will give you the various advantage of the DC series drive. So that's why these AC series drives are preferred in the most of the type of the traction purpose. So what are the different properties of the AC series drive? So to achieve the better operating condition, the AC railways are often supplied with the current at a lower frequency than the commercial supply used for a general lightning and power. Special traction current power stations are used, or rotary converters are used to convert 50 or 60 Hz commercial power to the 50 Hz frequency used for AC traction motors. So friends, as we know that while we are using the traction system, we have to use a different types of the system. So in the traction, we have using the lighting or the different types of the railways that we call it as the AC railways are using the power supply. So for the sake of that, we will require some of the motors that will be operated on the AC supply itself. So for the sake of that, now we are preferring the AC series drive for your traction system. Then next, because as we know that the supply is available AC, so obviously the AC system allows efficient distribution of your power down the length of the rail line. Also permits speed control with switchgear on the vehicle. So due to that, the AC series drives are preferred in most of the type of the electric traction drive. So this is one of the image of your AC series drive that we are prefer for the traction system. Now we want to understand the next type of the motor that will be preferred as in traction drives, and these drives are called it as the AC induction and synchronous drive. So friends, in most of the type of the traction system, we are preferring the induction motor and the synchronous motor as a traction drive because of its various characteristics. What are the different various characteristics? The first characteristics is that these motors are very simple and which will be having a low maintenance. But the various properties of the induction motor and the synchronous motor is that due to its required to apply a traction motor because of their fixed speed characteristics. So as we know that this is the property of the synchronous drive that they are rotating at the constant speed. So due to that, sometime we are not preferring such type of the drive system for your traction drive. But an induction motor that will be only generates, as we seen that the useful amount of power over a narrow speed range determined by its construction and the frequency of the AC power supply system. So friends, due to that, the AC induction motors are preferred for the most of the type of the traction drives. So this is one of the important system of your induction motor. Then the very important concept. So the drives which are using the induction motors are characterized by a higher power efficiency, good control properties in two zones of speed control. So what do you mean by the two zones of the speed control? So we are getting the two zones of speed control. First zone of speed control is that we are called it as the load torque is constant, and second is called it as load power is constant. So we are getting by the means of the AC induction motor, we have to control the speed of your motor in both above synchronous speed and below synchronous speed, because this is the concept both will be available in the AC induction motor and the synchronous motor, that is called it as synchronous speed. So what do you mean by the synchronous speed? It is the speed at which the rotating magnetic field will be the produced, and for the various principle of the AC induction motor and the synchronous motor, this parameter is needed. So this synchronous speed will give you, if you want to speed control of this the traction system that is below the synchronous speed, that is below ns and above ns, then obviously we have to prefer such type of the AC induction drive for your traction purpose. Now friends, we have to understand recent trends in the traction drive. So as we have discussed, there are the different types of the motors that we are preferred as a traction drive. Now we have to understand how these traction motors are controlled, because in the fundamental definition of your electric drive that again we have to recall. So this is the basically source, this is the power modulator, I can write pm, it is power modulator, this is motor, and this is load, this is load, and we have to use one of the sensing mechanism here. So we are using the sensor, that is the sensor, and from sensor we are connecting one device that will be called it as again control unit, and we are giving command to the power modulator, and we are giving the input command to that the control unit. So in concern with the traction drive, the source may be available AC or a DC. The power modulator, that will be according to our requirement. Okay, so such time we are using the power modulator as a rectifier. Sometime we are using chopper according to our requirement. Then this motor, again we have prefer the DC series motor in concern with the traction drive, or AC series motor, AC series motor, or induction motor. The load will be your train, trolley, whatever it will be. The sensor will be your speed sensor, that is the speed sensor. The control unit, which will be having the, suppose we are taking this control unit as a microprocessor, so by which we have to give the supply command to your power modulator, and according to the changing in the power modulator circuitry, we have to change the speed of your motor. So this is the actual concept of electric drive as a traction. So in that particular traction, we are using the different types of the control circuitry that will be preferred as in power modulator and control strategy. So in that particular power modulator and control strategy, we are using the different types of the equipment, that is the power electronic converters. In the control unit, we are using the different types of the control strategy. Okay, so we have to understand recent trends in the traction drive. So the first that will be the method that will be used in previous day. So that the method will be called it as a tap changer control. So we are changing the tapping of your transformer. So this is the first method by which we have to control the speed of that particular motor. So this is the tap changer control. Then the second is a thyristor control. So what do you mean by the thyristor control? So in the thyristor control, we have to using the different types of the thyristor system in that particular power modulator. By the changing of the firing angle of this particular thyristor, we can change the speed of this motor. So this is another system. Then third, this is called it as the chopper. So what do we mean by the chopper? We have to get the fundamental concept. So chopper, when the supply is available DC, when the supply is available DC. So as we know that chopper is a device which will be convert DC supply into DC supply. Suppose we can consider this is the motor will be DC series motor, the supply will be DC. So DC to DC converter will be called it as a chopper. So by the changing of the duty ratio of this chopper, we can control the speed of your motor, and if you control the speed of motor, you can control the speed of your train. So that will be the fundamental concept that we are using in the traction drives. Then the next system, that is called it as microprocessor control, because in previous days we are using the tap changing control. After that we have to control the thyristor control, chopper control, and nowadays we are using the different types of the system with the help of the microprocessor control. So what do you mean by the microprocessor control? We are using the microprocessor device in that particular control unit, so it will can change the basically input command to the power modulator, and if we can control the input command to the power modulator, obviously we can control the speed of your motor. If we can control the speed of your motor, we can control the speed of your train. So these are the recent trends in the traction drive that we can discuss in detail how we can control the traction drive by means of the tap changer control. So let's begin. So the first method of the control strategy, that will be called it as a transformer tap changing method. So why we are using the transformer tap changing method? We have to get the basic fundamental concept here from that particular block diagram. We want to control the speed of that particular motor. That is our aim. So as shown in figure, friends, this is the system of your electric train. So this is a AC overhead transmission line, as we seen that, which will be carrying a power. Okay, so for the collection of this power, we are connecting one device, that is current collecting device, which will be called it as pantograph collector. So this pantograph collector will collect the power from that particular AC overhead transmission line. So we are using one circuit breaker for the protection if you want to break that the particular circuit from that particular supply. So we are using one device that will be called it as circuit breaker, and from the circuit breaker that supply will be given to your transformer. So friends, as we seen that this is the transformer primary. This is a transformer secondary. So this is the primary winding of your transformer. This is mutual inductance. This is the secondary. So as we seen that while we are giving, so we can see on the secondary we have putting some of the tappings. So these are the tappings of your transformer that we are inserted that particular tapping on the secondary winding of your transformer, by which we can change the value of your voltage of your secondary winding. So this the device which will be called it as a tap changer. So what is the purpose of the tap changer? So it can change the value of the voltage according to our requirement. So we are getting the AC supply. So this is the auxiliary contacts or the auxiliary circuits are required for the purpose of the different AC system that will be used as a lighting, some of the system as a fan, some of the system as the air conditioning. So these are the auxiliary circuits are given to that particular circuits. Okay, so friends, as we seen that this is the AC supply. Okay, but now we are using the DC motors as a drive for your traction system. So this is the AC supply which will be converted by the DC supply by means of the device which will be called it as rectifier. So this rectifier will convert that the alternating current supply to the direct current supply, and now this direct current supply will be given to your motor. So this is the actual system by which we have to change the tapping of your transformer, and while we are changing the tapping of your transformer, we can change the input voltage of your system, because this is a transformer system, and basically we have to change the tapping of this particular transformer of the secondary winding, by which we have to get a variable voltage, and this variable voltage is given to your rectifier. This rectifier will convert that AC voltage into DC voltage, and that DC voltage will be given to your DC motor. So this is the first control method that will be called it as a transformer tap changing method of your traction drive. Now friends, we have to understand the second method of the traction control that will be called it as the thyristor control. So what do you mean by the thyristor control? First of all, we can understand. Again friends, this is a overhead transmission line. We can consider this is a overhead line. This is the current collecting device, that will be current collecting device as we use as a pantograph collector for a transmission line. So this is the AC supply. Okay, so this is the AC supply. This is a transformer. This is the winding of your transformer. So this is the transformer. This is a transformer. Transformer having this is the primary winding. This is the secondary winding of your transformer. And in secondary winding of your transformer, we are using a power electronic device, because we have to give the input supply by using of this transformer. Why we are using this transformer? Because this transformer will step down the voltage of your AC transmission line, and according to our requirement that the supply voltage is given to your thyristor control strategy. So what will happen in the thyristor control? So friend, this is a thyristor control. So these are the thyristor. This is thyristor number 1, this is thyristor number 2, this is thyristor number 2. So friends, this thyristor number 1 and thyristor number 2, these are called it as the diodes, as will be, these are the freewheeling diodes. This is called it as D1 and D2. So these diodes are connecting for the freewheeling non, as we call it as a circulating current into that particular circuit. This is a series winding, and that the series winding we are connecting a DC series motor. So why we call it as a DC series motor? So this is a field winding, this is the armature. This armature is connected in series, so this is called it as the series motor that we are preferring. And as shown in figure, we are connecting to DC series motor, because while we are connecting to DC series motor in a series winding, so obviously we have to control that is limited speed range. So friends, for the sake of that, if you want to control this motor by means of this thyristor, how we can control? So friends, in the first quadrant of supply that we are giving, the positive supply that will be called it as a sinusoidal supply. So the current flowing through that particular thyristor to the series field winding of this particular motor, and this current basically T1 to D2 that will be given into the right way. Okay, so this is the second system. while we understanding the controlling of this particular thyristor, how we can control. So this thyristor will having the three terminal, as we call it as it is anode, cathode and gate terminal. So it is anode, it is cathode, and it is gate terminal. By the changing of the signal of the gate terminal, we can control the flow of the current in that the particular thyristor. Means while we are changing the firing angle of this particular thyristor, we can control the speed of that particular motor. So friends, this is the strategy which will be called it as the thyristor control method of your DC series motor. So this is one of the system that we are preferring in the traction drive control. Now friends, we have to understand the next type of the control strategy, that will be called it as a chopper control. So what do you mean by the chopper? So the name itself indicates its meaning. It will be chopped the basic input voltage. So as we seen that we are getting the input voltage, so from the chopper itself we are getting the DC voltage. So this is the DC voltage that we are getting from your system. So this is a chopper control. As we seen that this is the chopper control strategy. So this is the current collecting device, that is pantograph. This is the inductance LF. So what will be the purpose of that particular LF? Because it will be having some of the DC supply, we can consider this will be having a DC supply. So this DC supply we can consider some of the having ripple. So by the means of the L and C filter, LF and CF is the filter circuit. It will remove the ripples in that particular DC output, and now the DC supply is available to that particular chopper control. So basically in chopper control we are using the three type of switches, that is switch 1, S1, switch S2 and switch S3. So this is switch S1, switch S2 and switch S3. And now these three switches are connected to the series winding of your motor. So these are the series winding of your DC series motor. This is the series winding. This is the series winding of your DC series motor, and these are called it as the diodes. These diodes are basically used for the freewheeling purpose of the switch number 1 S1, switch number S2 and switch number S3. So these freewheeling diodes are basically, the purpose of this freewheeling diode will be that it will be freewheels the circulating current into that particular circuit. So friends, what will be happen in the chopper control circuit? In chopper control circuit, just we have to change the position of your switches. Means friends, what do you mean by the chopper? This will be the input supply DC. So this is the input supply DC. This chopper will give you, that is a fixed DC into variable DC. That will be the input of your chopper. This is the output of your chopper. Means if you are changing the output of your chopper in the different types of the steps, then we have to control the speed of this DC series motor, and that is our requirement. Means by the changing of the switching of that particular switches, so in most of the time instead of that particular switches we are using the different power electronic devices, and depending upon this chopper control strategy we are preferring some of the type which will be devices which will be called it as a transistor. And by the changing of the duty cycle or the duty ratio, so what do you mean by the duty ratio? It is T on divided by T, where T is called it as a total time period. So if you want to control the total time period, as we have to draw the basic waveform. So if you want, this is a T on period, this is a T off period, again it is T on, again it is T off. So it is a total time period T. This is the total time period as we call it as T on. This is the time period T off. So as we seen that friends, if you want to change the duty cycle of that particular the device, because instead of that S1 we are using one transistor. Okay, so if we are changing the duty cycle of this particular transistor, we can change the speed of this particular motor. So this particular strategy which we call it as a chopper control of your traction drive. Okay, now we have to understand the next very popular method of the controlling of your traction drive. This is called it as microprocessor based control. So friends, in that particular system we are using a control strategy as a microprocessor. So friends, first of all we can understand what do you mean by the microprocessor. So first of all we can understand the basic concept. So friends, this is a motor. Okay, so this is a motor, this is the thyristor converter, this is the thyristor converter, this is the thyristor converter, this is the speed encoder, this is speed input module. So what do you mean by the speed encoder? It is a speed sensor which will be encode the speed. Now the speed will be given to your microprocessor. So friends, what do you mean by the microprocessor? We can understand. So this is microprocessor strategy I can draw. This is a microprocessor. Okay, so this is a microprocessor. I can show you with the help of the different system according to our block diagram. So as we seen that in the block diagram, we are using the control strategy, that is microprocessor. So friends, as shown in figure, we are using, this is a microprocessor. MUP is a short form of the microprocessor, so it is microprocessor system. So now we can understand in detail how it will be work. So for the working of that particular system, we have to understand the basic system parameters. So the what are the different system parameters? So this is the three-phase AC supply system. Now this three-phase AC supply, which will be basically connecting or getting from your pantograph collector. For the sake of that, we are using CT. CT is called it as current transformer. So from that particular current transformer, we have to use one diode. So what is the purpose of this particular diode? We can get that the AC supply will be converted into DC supply. So this the DC supply now which will be converting that the A to D converter, means that the supply will be called it as analog to digital converter, because this microprocessor will be a digital device. So it will be understand only the concept of the digital signal. So there is a requirement of the A to D converter. This is called it as analog to digital converter. So this analog to digital converter in input, it will be given to your input and output interface. Then the second, that is the transformer, which will be step down the supply, and by the use of the line synchronizing circuit. So in the line synchronizing circuit, we are using some of the type of the devices. Such devices will be inductance capacitor circuits, by which we have to synchronize these lines to your microprocessor. Now we can give the input to your input and output interface. So friends, after that we are using, this is a supply, AC supply, that we are given to your microprocessor is a digital device. Now this AC supply will be given to your basic device, which will be called it as a thyristor converter. So we are using the thyristor converter circuit. So what do you mean by the thyristor converter circuit? So we are using that the AC supply. So this AC supply will be given to your DC supply. So obviously we will require that is AC to DC converter, as we call it as the AC to DC converter. So it is a rectifier circuit. So we are using to rectifier. So in power electronics, there should be a device which will be called it as dual converter. So I think in concern with the electrical drive fundamental concept, we are using the dual converter. So what is the purpose of the dual converter is that if you want to control that is in forward and reverse manner, we have to use this dual converter, means we are using the two rectifier which are connected in anti-parallel, and by the changing of the firing angle of this particular rectifier circuit. So again, there are the different two types, circulating current type, non-circulating current types. So depending upon that, we can control the speed of your motor. So basically, this is a DC series motor that we have connected here. So friends, this is the actual strategy. Now we will understand what will be the control strategy of that particular microprocessor based control. So this is the DC motor, this is the speed sensing devices, and this is the speed sensing device, as we call it as the speed encoder. So this speed encoder will sense the speed of that particular motor, and it will be given to the value of that particular speed to your microprocessor. So this is the speed input module that will be receive the value of the motor, and that the value will be given to your input output interface of your microprocessor. Now friends, we can understand what do you mean by the microprocessor. So this microprocessor or the microcomputer, which will be having its central processing unit. In that particular central processing unit, various processes are carried out. Then the memory of that particular microprocessor will be, that is a read-only memory, random access memory. So from that the particular memory side, this microprocessor will get the different values of the speed sensing into that particular read-only memory and random access memory. And depending upon that particular device, it will be changes. It's the memory status file. So friends, we are giving the different input command, that is a start and stop command to your microprocessor by the means of the external signal. So we are giving the input signal to that particular microprocessor. So friends, from that particular microprocessor, if we are giving the input module command of that particular speed. Now friends, we have to take one example. Suppose the speed of that particular motor, now it will be 1000 rpm, and now we want to change of this particular speed of your motor to 1500 rpm. Okay, so we are giving command to, that is a, we want the speed control of that particular drive will be 1500, 1500 requirement of your speed that we want to give, that is from the input command file that we are giving the speed here, that is from the input command. So we are giving the speed that is 1500. So now what will happen, this DC motor speed, now it will be 1000 rpm. So this DC speed sensor will be senses the speed of that particular motor, that is 1000 rpm, and now this speed 1000 rpm which will be given to the input module. So basically, as we seen that what is the purpose of the input module, because this microprocessor will be basically digital device, so it can understand the only language of the digital. So this the speed input module which will be convert that the input quantity of your speed that will be converted into a digital signal, and now these digital signals are given to your input and output interface of your microprocessor system. So this microprocessor system, it will be using, it's the central processing unit. So this information is given to your central processing unit. So this central processing unit will be understand, because the speed of that particular sensing device will be 1000 rpm. So according to its read only memory or its memory access, so it will be again sending the signal, that signal that will be related to the different memory status file, that is algorithm, which will basically in zeros and one, and it will be changing the values of the speed in terms of the 500 rpm, but into a digital code. So these digital codes are given to your gate pulse generator amplifier. So these digital pulse are given to your gate pulse generator. So this gate pulse generator will generate a signal which is required to generate more 5000 rpm speed. So this, as we know that in the spin control strategy, we are using the current control loop. So this 5000 rpm speed will be converted into a 5 ampere value of your current. So this is the 5 ampere current which will be given to the different values of the gate pulse of that particular thyristor, and depending upon that, the speed of this motor will be now changing to a 15,000 rpm. So friends, in this way, this the microprocessor system will be work, and it will be control a speed of your DC motor as per our requirement. So this is the microprocessor based control of your traction drive. Now friends, we have to understand the next system of your controlling, that is the control of the AC motor, as we call it as a three-phase induction motor. So these are the three-phase induction motor, as we have seen, these are connection of the three-phase motor. So again, we have to understand the basic concept. So again, it will be the overhead transmission line. This is the pantograph collector, this pantograph collector which will be having the circuit breaker. So from the circuit breaker we are connecting transformer. This is the primary winding, this is a mutual winding, this is the secondary winding, and from the secondary winding we have to use a AC to DC converter which will be called it as rectifier. Why we want to control this, use this rectifier, because for the sake of the controlling purpose we have to control this alternating current supply into a direct current supply. So obviously this AC to DC converter which will be having some of the ripples. So sometime we are using the filter circuit. So we are getting the filter circuit by the smoothing of this particular DC supply. Now we are using one capacitor. Why we are using this is the capacitor for the providing the constant DC voltage to that the DC to AC converter. So obviously this DC to AC converter will be called it as the inverter circuit. Why we are using this inverter circuit? Because we are using the connection of the AC induction motor. So AC induction motor will require the supply, that is AC. So due to that we will require one converter that will be convert, that is a DC supply into a AC supply. This is called it as inverter. So in that particular inverter, we are using the different types of the power electronic devices. Such devices will be called it as the thyristor circuit, and while we are changing the firing angle of this particular thyristor, we can control the speed of that particular motor. So this is the strategy. And from that particular the DC link, we are connecting some of the auxiliary circuits which will be requiring the some of the power requirement, and this is the negative return through the wheel and running rail. So these wheels are rotating on that particular platform, and this is a axle brush that we are connecting basically for the transformer circuit. So friends, this is the AC induction motor control by means of the inverter circuit. So this is the basic fundamental understanding. Now we have to understand the pulse width modulation voltage source inverter control of the squirrel cage induction motor. This is pulse width modulation voltage source inverter squirrel cage induction motor. So squirrel cage induction motor we are using for the controlling of the system of your traction drive. So again, we have to understand the basic fundamental concept. So what do you mean by the basic fundamental concept? We can understand this is the AC system. This is the pantograph collector. This pantograph collector. This is pantograph collector. So what is the purpose of the pantograph collector? It will be collect the current. So this is a transformer. This transformer which will be transfer the electrical supply. So we are using the filter circuit for the filtration purpose. Now this is the filter output of the AC supply system which will be given to the diode bridge. So what is the purpose of this diode bridge? So this diode bridge rectifier which will be convert as it is the AC voltage into a DC voltage. So this is the AC voltage will be converted into a DC voltage by means of this diode bridge rectifier. This is the diode bridge rectifier. Now this DC supply at the point A and B. Okay, so this DC supply we are using voltage source inverter. So what do you mean by the voltage source inverter? We have to connect one capacitor that will be giving you a constant voltage source. So this is a VSI. So this is the capacitor which is used for the voltage source inverter. Now this is the property of the PWM VSI squirrel cage induction motor will be providing you a value of the dynamic braking, because as we know that it is very important concept while we are selecting a drive for a particular purpose. So this squirrel cage induction motor providing one important property which will be called it as the dynamic braking. So for the sake of that we are connecting one braking resistor through switch SB. So what do you mean by RB? RB will be called it as the braking resistor. So we have the basic concept of the dynamic braking. So this is very important property by which we can get the braking system. So now this DC supply is given to your circuit, and this whole circuit will be treated as an, I can draw this circuit with the, so this is the whole circuit which will be called it as VSI. This whole circuit will be VSI. So what do you mean by the VSI? For the sake of understanding, we are connecting understanding of the VSI. We have connect one switch here, but instead of switch, we are using the different power electronic devices. I can showing in that particular image as in switch, but instead of switch, we are using the different power electronic switches. These power electronic switches will be your thyristors. Okay, and these are the diodes. These diodes are called it as the freewheeling diodes, and these are connecting is the anti-parallel to the each of the power electronic devices. So in day-to-day life, instead of that particular switches, that the condition of switches, these are the switches. So instead of these switches, we are using the power electronic devices that will be called it as a power thyristor or power transistor. So while we are changing the firing angle of this particular switches of the power electronics, we can get the input terminal to the three-phase supply of your induction motor. So this is the for phase R, this is for phase Y, this is for phase Y, and this is for phase B. So as we seen that this is phase R, this is phase Y, and this is phase B. So we are getting the supply from that particular inverter circuit, and now we are connecting a different induction motor. So this is induction motor number 1, this is induction motor number 2, this is induction motor number 3, this is induction motor number 4. So we are getting the input supply from that particular VSI, that is voltage source inverter. We are getting the AC supply, and now we are controlling the speed of your induction motor by means of that particular circuitry which will be called it as BSI. So friend, this is the another control method which will be called it as pulse width modulation voltage source inverter squirrel cage induction motor drive, which will be preferred for the application of the traction drive. Now we can discuss what are the different advantages of the electric traction. So friends, we are using the different traction system in a day-to-day life. So while we are comparing the electric traction with the other type of the traction system, it will possesses a following advantage. So in the electric traction, we are using the different types of electric motors for a driving a load. So let's we can understand what are the different advantages one by one. So the first advantage for the electric traction system will be that it has a great passenger carrying capacity at a higher speed, because as we know that in the electric traction system it will be basically operated at the different speeds, and it load carrying capacity should be very high. So this is the first advantage. Then the second advantage in the electric traction system is that it should have a high starting torque, because we are using the different types of motor according to its construction. This motor will possesses a good starting torque. So this will be the second advantage of your electric traction system, that will be called it as high starting torque. Then the next advantage of the electric traction system is the less maintenance cost, because as we know that we are using the different types of the electric motors, and these electric motors which will be having basically maintenance or the repair cost is near about 50% of the steam traction system. So that's why the electric traction system possesses very less maintenance cost. So that will be the another advantage of your electric traction system. Then the next advantage will be that is the cheapest method of the traction, because while we are comparing the other types of the traction, it will require different types of the fuels. So that's why the electric traction system, which will be very cheapest method as compared with the other type of the traction system. Then the next advantage of the electric traction system will be cleanness. So what do you mean by the cleanness? Because as we know that while we are operating different types of electrical motors, only we will require a electrical supply, and there is no byproduct of the electrical motor. But while we are using the other type of the traction system, such traction system will be a steam traction, diesel engine. So from that, the particular we are getting either smoke, either dust, or either ash. So there should be a presence of the flue gases are there. But in concern with the electric traction, there should be no smoke, no flue gases, no ash, no dust. So that's why the electric traction should be clean. Okay. Then the next advantage of the electric traction system will be electric traction system will be require less starting period, because as we know that we are using the different types of motor, and as we have a basic concept regarding the motor, so this motor will require very less time to start, but the time requirement in concern with the electric traction system will be very small as compared with the other type of the traction. So it can be started without loss of time. So that will be very considerable advantage of the electrical traction system. Then the next advantage will be the system, that is electric traction system will be using both the DC series motor as well as the EC series motor, and according to its construction, this the electric traction motors which will be having a high starting torque. Again, these electrical motors will be having very better braking system. So now we can understand in electrical traction system the regenerative braking will be possible. So due to that, the regenerative braking, which will be basically 40% of the energy feedbacks to the source. So due to that, the saving of electrical energy will be there, and obviously in electrical traction purpose, we cannot use coal or diesel as basically raw material. So that will be one of the advantage of the electric traction. So friends, in spite of these different type of the advantages of the electric traction system, it should have some of the disadvantages. So let's we can understand what are the different disadvantages of the electric traction system. So for the sake of that, first of all we want to understand what are the basic disadvantage. So obviously in concern with the electric traction system, we are using the different types of the electrical motors. So the cost of the electrical motor should be very large. So along with that, if we are using the different starting mechanism, braking mechanism and control mechanism, we will require some of the additional requirements. So due to that, the overall installment or the capital cost of your electrical traction system will be very, very large. That will be one of the important disadvantage of your electric traction. So after that, there should be another disadvantage of the electrical traction system, that will be the problem of the supply failure, because in electrical traction system we are using the different types of motor, and these motors will be basically operated on the power supply, because as we have the basic concept, because we are giving the electrical supply to the motor, and according to that the electrical supply, this motor will generate its the EMF, and according to that this motor that will convert that is electrical energy into mechanical energy, and we are just giving that the mechanical energy which will be getting from the shaft, that will be connected to the basically wheels of your electrical traction system. So if we are failed to supply that the particular motor, then the whole operation will be stopped. So there should be a problem of supply failure. It is one of the important disadvantage of the electric traction system. So after that, basically the third disadvantage will be look like that, while we are using the electrical motors for the propulsion of the traction drive, so the track should be electrified, because we will require the electricity at a particular time. So these all tracks should be electrified tracks. So this is one of the disadvantage, and for the electrification of track we will require more number of electrical equipments. Such equipments will be different types of the current carrying devices, some of the protection devices, some of the controlling devices. So that's why this is one of the disadvantage of the electric traction system. So after that, for the braking and the control of the electric traction system, we will require some of the additional equipment. Such equipments will be your power converters, your control equipment. So this is one of the disadvantage of the electric traction system. So friends, the next disadvantage of the electric traction system is that due to the electric traction system, we are using the different types of the electrical wiring or the electrified tracks are there, and due to that, the tracks or the electrical network should possesses some of the interferences with the telegraph and telephone lines. So this will be the considerable disadvantage of the electric traction system. So friends, in this way we have detailedly study about the different advantages and disadvantages of the electric traction system. So thank you.